Hello, hello, FedPhoenix fam. So, it's Sunday evening, right? And in like 36 hours, roughly, Tuesday afternoon, I go back to meet with the surgeon who's supposed to do my abdominal surgery, right? And he was really leery about taking the procedure to begin with, to be willing to do it. Because it's a major abdominal repair with a lot of mesh. I've done some research. These surgeries take about 2 to 6 hours. And this is related to prison because when I went into Alderson, I had a very small hernia. And due to the lack of appropriate accommodation and care, I now have a huge tear in my abdominal wall. I have a Spigelian hernia, so there's torn ligaments involved. There's intestines not only hanging outside of my abdomen, that looks like a grapefruit-sized lump on my stomach, and I'm a big girl, so if I was a smaller person, it'd probably be the size of a small melon. Or no, maybe that's an exaggeration, but definitely bigger, without the fatty tissue kind of trying to hide it. But even with that, it's like a grapefruit-sized mass. And the little tiny hernia I had going in is a 11 centimeter, not millimeter, centimeter, 11 centimeter by 10 centimeter by 5 centimeter, just ripping my abdominal wall. And it's a Spigelian hernia, which means that some of the intestines that are protruding outside of my abdomen, if you go in a little deeper, they're actually kind of in between muscle layers too. So this is going to require a lot. It's going to require, kind of cutting, for lack of a better term. It's going to require putting the intestines back in my stomach, making sure everything is back in the proper place, because things may be a bit out of place at this point with some of my organs, because these intestines have been outside my body for so long, things may have shifted a bit. But also cutting these ligaments, reconnecting them, right? And then putting a giant mesh patch over it. And it's such a complex major surgery that it requires a minimal 3-day post-operative hospital stay. You have like a 4 to 6 week window of extreme downtime. And then after that, you have months of recovery, following that. And of course, because this has to be an open surgery, it can't be done laparoscopically because it's so, the hole in my abdomen is so huge and all the complexity of it. They're going to have to do an incision, which will be bigger than the actual hernia itself. So on an 11 centimeter at the largest measuring, opening, now we're talking what? Probably maybe a 13, 14 centimeter, maybe a little bigger, just huge, opening up my abdomen, my torso. And I have a high BMI. And you may be wondering, well, why does that really matter? It matters because when they do the mesh, the excess body weight in the abdomen area will be pulling outwardly because of gravity on that area of my stomach. And additionally, I'm a person who just genetically, by default, has a lot more visceral fat, like a higher percentage than a lot of people, which is like the fat around your organs. So not only will there be pressure on the mesh of my body mass and gravity kind of pulling at it from the outside, but then additionally, there'll be the pressure inside my torso of this visceral fat pushing on it out, which makes it much likely to be complications. And when I seen the surgeon about this about a month ago, I was also a smoker, which, greatly increases the likelihood of post-operative infection, complications during and after the surgery. It really slows your healing time, and this is going to be a major surgery, so healing is going to be something that needs to be kind of paramount. So he was really leery about it, and I was really persistent because here's the thing. He's only 45 minutes from my home driving. My other options, if he does not do the surgery, one is a little over 2 hours away and at a major hospital in my state. The other one is like a 4-hour, 5-hour drive away in another state at the Cleveland Clinic. Well, which obviously is in Ohio. And having an underage child at home to care for, the longer the more I have to travel, the longer I'm going to be in hospital, and even traveling back post-operative for follow-up appointments, because there will be plenty of those. Really creates a burden that I have to put on my mother and my adult child, to assist and care for my younger child. That one, I just don't want to do. And two, you know, it's just not, I mean, I'm going to have to, but certainly having a surgeon that's much closer would make the situation a lot more manageable. So I'm making this video because I'm kind of stressing out, because when he was like really hesitant to do the surgery, he was like, well, if your BMI was, 3 or 4 points less, it would be less risky. I'd be more comfortable. If you were a non-smoker, I'd be more comfortable. I was like, oh, well, because one thing about me is I'm very tenacious. I'm a very persistent, I've been called pushy, but I like to say proactive person. So I was like, oh, but wait, why don't you have me come back in a month, right? And I'll immediately quit smoking, and I will lose another 10 pounds because I'm on a weight loss journey. And compared to my heaviest since I've been home, I'm currently about a little over 20 pounds lighter than that, and I've only been home less than 9 months. So, and I went on this, started my weight loss journey, my weight loss efforts, probably about 4 or 5 months ago. So I'm doing good. You know what I mean? I'm progressively making, reasonable strides. But, sometimes you kind of overshoot what is going to really happen. And so now that I'm down to the wire, right? And I'm like 2 days out from the surgery, or from seeing the surgeon, which if he agrees at that point to do the surgery, it'll be 2 to 4 weeks afterwards that it'll be scheduled for, which is actually really quick, because these types of complex procedures, usually they have to schedule them 6 to 8 weeks out. But because mine is so high risk, because at any point, if any of my intestines get obstructed, get incarcerated, ironically, or kind of get squeezed off or pinched in those muscles that they're kind of weaving their way through or whatever, then I would need an emergency surgery, which would be just performed by whatever surgeon is available at the time, and they're probably not going to actually be able to really do the surgery well, which means, they would be able to save my life probably, but I would have a lot of revisional surgeries in the future. So now that we're down to the wire, I'm pretty sure when I go in there, I'm going to have like a 5-pound weight loss, which is half of the dream that I sold him. And I really probably got way ahead of myself, being like, oh, bring me back in a month, I'll be 10 pounds lighter. So now I'm nervous that he's going to be like, and mind you too, as part of this whole Spigelian hernia situation, I have what's called a giant or a wide mouth or a huge Spigelian hernia. Spigelian hernias are very uncommon. They're less than 2% of all hernias. For one to be this large is far more uncommon. And so surgeons, even those who specialize in this field, don't get a lot of experience with these. And I think for him, some of the kind of motivation to even consider doing the surgery is like, one, this is a teaching hospital that he's associated with. So it's a great opportunity on that level. And two, it's just really something nice to add to his repertoire, his track record of surgeries. But of course, he's not all that interested in it if he doesn't think that the surgery itself is going to be successful, not only in the operating room, but long-term through the recovery phases and down the road. And I'm really nervous that he's going to be like, you said 10 pounds, you've lost 5. Womp womp. I don't have time to babysit you and hold your hand. You're an adult. And 10 pounds was doable, medically. So, either come back when your BMI is significantly less and we can have this conversation again, or find somewhere else to do it. And like I said, because there is, in order to deal with the situation, I have to daily take fiber supplements, multiple fiber supplements, prebiotics, probiotics, stool softeners, colon cleanse every night. And even then, not that you guys really want to get this personal with me, but I don't even have bowel movements every day because my intestines are being pinched and twisted, and it's just really bad situation. So, the responsibility is on me. It's on me that I have not met the goals that I kind of volunteered for with my surgeon. I get that. I do. But kicking myself about it isn't going to change anything. Now, mind you, since the surgery will be scheduled 2 to 4 weeks out, I can, tell him, I can assure you that I will lose an average of a pound to a pound and a half per week leading up to surgery and maintain that weight loss. And after surgery, I will continue on my efforts to reduce my BMI. It's not just going to stop, or I'm not going to gain 60 pounds after surgery and completely blow my mesh out. And just hope that he takes my word for it and he's willing to kind of roll the dice with me a little bit. I think I can be a fairly persuasive person when I want to be. I may, in a kind of grabbing for straws way, mention that, I have thyroid issues. I have, my adrenal glands are not great. I have an autoimmune condition connected to the thyroid, in addition to regular, low functioning thyroid. And we're still working on trying to get my thyroid numbers in range post-prison. You know what I mean? And we're not quite where we need to be with that. So, and I have what's called insulin resistance, where basically your body, when you consume sugars, carbs, that kind of thing, instead of your body using them for fuel and processing them, and then the excess gets stored as body fat, my body just kind of boots all that into body fat and uses much less of it for energy than it should, and it stores body fat, particularly in the abdomen. I'll point out, if need be, my desperate attempt to keep him on board with me. That, okay, I've lost 5 pounds, but I've lost 5 pounds, in spite of medical complications, and I have PCOS. I mean, the list goes on. But in spite of various chronic medical conditions that make weight loss extremely difficult. And hope that he just says, okay, well, she lost 5 pounds, but she probably put in a 10-pound weight loss effort. I don't know. But I don't know. I wanted to kind of tell y'all about that. So yeah, in less than 36 hours. Right? Yeah, a little under 36 hours. Will be kind of the moment of truth if the surgeon is going to agree to move forward with the surgery or not. And I'm nervous. Whew, I'm sweating bullets, metaphorically. Because if he's not willing to do the surgery, and knowing that the situation is kind of a ticking time bomb, I have to get it taken care of as soon as possible. I'm going to have no choice than to travel much further. And then too, whenever they let me out of the hospital post-operative, if I'm just 45 minutes away, I could probably talk them into, hey, the risk with me driving is the pain medication. So how about I just don't take any pain medication for 4 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, whatever I need to be medically considered safe to drive, and drive myself home from surgery. If I'm getting surgery like 3 hours away or 5 hours away, you don't really realize the amount of moving your abdomen you have to do when you're driving, unless you've had an abdominal surgery. Because I assure you, those little looks over your shoulder and looking in your mirrors and sitting up for extended periods of time, and just kind of the jerking, ness, for lack of a better word, of driving, and the momentum and the G-force, around those curves on the highway, it is painful. Like, it is excruciating. And I have a really low tolerance for pain meds. So I take like the smallest amount of pain medication, as far as like prescription pain medication, and I'm like knotted out. Like I'm somewhere asleep. So I know that I can't take that kind of medication and drive, because the reason why they tell people they can't is because there are people like me, sorry to everyone else, who really just, their body can't handle that. You know what I mean? And so if I get my surgery somewhere hours away, if I'm going to try to drive myself home, I'll probably need to like drive like halfway, if it's like 2.5 hours, or if it's 4 hours, like a quarter of the way, or a little more than that, maybe a third, and get a hotel room for the night so I can take my freaking pain meds and rest, and then get back at it the next day. And that's insane. That's insane in this day and age, with travel being what it is, for me to say it's going to take me 2-3 days to make it home from somewhere that's a 5-hour drive away. Or it's going to take me 2 days from somewhere that's, you know, a 2-hour drive away, 2.5 hour. And then the cost of 2 different hotel rooms, which would be booked kind of pretty much last minute, like at the counter, because there's really no way to predict at what point my surgeon is going to clear me to leave the hospital even. I mean, I would rather deal with these very serious and intense personal medical issues, obviously in the free world versus in prison. But, and I would take the worst day in the free world over the best day in prison, hands down. No questions asked. But it's just a lot, you know. I've been home like 8.5 months, and I've made incredible strides with rebuilding my life and being there for my loved ones the way I need to be. But this is a huge, you know, kind of Goliath to take on. And so if you are praying folks, if you are vibes folks or juju people, whatever you may be into, you know, even if it's just positive thoughts, please send some good stuff my way, because, you know, what this surgeon says in a couple days will really be pivotal in the next steps in my post-incarceration medical journey. So, and I'm eating so much watermelon, it's insane, because I know it's like super low calorie and it has a lot of water, and of course I'm taking vitamins and supplements and all this. So even if I lived off watermelon, I would not in no way be putting myself in a medically compromised situation. But, but yeah, so that's what I got going on. That's my, my pre-operative, pre-surgical update, I guess, for lack of a better term. So if you like the video, please subscribe if you have not already. We're up to a hair over 100 subscribers, and I'm so excited about that. I even made a video about it. I would say share the video if you like it, but honestly, I don't know if I want people who aren't my FedPhoenix fam all up in my business like that. But, you know, in the description will be links to my Cash App and PayPal if you would like to donate to the channel. For transparency purposes, this money is used for, you know, my day-to-day expenditures, emergency expenditures, trying to put my book together that I'm working on. And, now that I'm thinking of it, would definitely go towards, you know, medically related costs, you know, travel and possibly hotel stays and such, you know, through this aspect of my journey. But, and my email will be in the description as well if you need to get a hold of me for any reason. If you believe that you're going to federal prison, if you have a loved one that's going or is in federal prison, and you need any kind of guidance or support, you know, I'm here to offer. Whatever I got to give, I'm happy to give you. So, with that, good day, God bless, and I will talk to y'all later.